Welcome back, everyone. This is Eric and Barry from Moss Pawn and Gun, and today we have another 5 guns video for you. I realize that these videos have been quite popular. We're glad that you like them. Today's video, we thought that we would explore the idea of if you had to buy 5 guns to prepare for a potential assault weapons ban.
Right.
So basically, like, what guns should you buy, or which ones could you buy that would cover you across the board to prepare for such type of ban. So why don't you explain the Clinton ban to us a little bit, Barry?
Well, what you need to do, a lot of people of a younger generation have never heard of the Clinton gun ban, so you need to look that up on the internet. What the Clinton gun ban did, it did not ban a particular gun, it banned the features of the gun. You could buy one of these during the Clinton ban, but this had to be pinned open. Okay? You couldn't have a threaded muzzle, you couldn't have a bayonet load, you couldn't have anything over a 10-round magazine when you bought a new gun. However, if you've already got these, under the old ban, these are grandfathered. Now, I don't know what's going on with the new plan that they have or whoever's going to try to do this, but you need to look up the Clinton ban because that's the minimum they're going to do. Now, these magazines are worth more than the gun if the ban comes back. These magazines are P-mags, they sell for like $15. When the ban comes back, you can sell these for $100 a piece.
That's right.
After the ban, they will be marked government only, military use only, but you need to stock up not only on guns, you need to stock up on the accessories as well.
So, I would say obviously the gun that I'm holding is a Smith & Wesson M&P 15 rifle. This is a sporter. This is probably one of the least expensive ARs you can get. This is going to be the #1 gun that they'll be coming for. Okay, an AR.
Because it looks evil.
Right, because an AR looks evil, of course they're going to go after the ARs. Now with the AR-15, you also have the option of buying a complete lower. Now see, this is what is considered the gun, is the lower receiver. Now under an assault weapons ban, okay, sure, if you got 10 of these laying around, all you have to do is buy the uppers and everything else is the same. You still got your classical stock. That receiver is grandfathered in such case because it was purchased before the assault weapons ban. You could even go as far,
to buy a strip lower.
you can buy a completely stripped lower, and you can have you a whole ton of these things on hand, and then later on, if you need to, they're grandfathered in, you can take this stripped receiver and build all the guns you need to. Of course, they're like $150.
Right.
So that might be an option for some of you with the ARs. Of course, also, get yourself plenty of P-mags. They're good quality magazines for the money. They're cheap, but good quality. And again, in a ban situation, you're talking about a magazine that's going to be worth triple to quadruple what you paid for it.
The P-mags are so good, in fact, that a lot of makers are shipping those with their guns. Smith & Wesson is one of them. So everybody's getting away from the old aluminum magazine.
Of course. Another type of weapon that they're going to likely try to go after, of course, is the Kalashnikov pattern of rifles. They've always said in all of their efforts they want to ban all variants of these types of semi-automatics, all that sort of thing. The AK is definitely one of those guns that they're going to try to go after, of course. And it's not that the AK is any more effective or deadly than the AR or any other gun out there. It's just the fact that it's the gun that people relate to terrorism and evil and bad people. And,
the profile of that gun is everybody knows what that is. That's associated with the evil empire and blah, blah, blah. AK-47 is what you hear, and that's what started all this to begin with.
That's right. Now, on an AK-47, in terms of a ban type situation, one of the nice things to consider about these is that the ammo is very inexpensive. It's still out there. It's still cheap. The magazines, of course, across the board are relatively inexpensive. Compared to the AR, these days they're about the same. You can get the surplus Bulgarian ones for about $20 a pop. They're good mags, they work. But across the board, of course, again, stock up on high cap mags, ammunition, that sort of thing. So again, falling into the same scenario, you got your AR, your AK. Why don't you tell us about Glock?
Well, here we go with the Glock. Now this is a Glock 17 Gen 4. You got plenty of these big mags, 33 rounders.
They're going to go after the mags.
They're going to go after the mags. Now, during the crime bill, they blocked the mags to 10 shots, and we've had a bunch of those around here. In California, you still have to use 10 shots in places like California, and I believe Massachusetts, New Jersey, places like that. But this, you need the gun first, but you need to stock up on these.
Yeah, if you're only going to own one Glock, that's fine. Buy you a 26 or a 19, something like that. Any kind of Glock, whatever. But the main thing, like Barry said, stock up on your high cap mags, because that's something that during the crime bill or any kind of ban situation, I know this is about guns, and yes, a Glock is a great gun to have. I'd recommend every household have a couple of them, but the high cap mags, they're a ton of fun. They're great to shoot, and as a defensive item, it's a nice thing for defense too, because they work.
They do work.
They do
now,
work.
These are Glock mags that Eric was showing you. Now, these are Korean mags, and you probably saw the video that we did on these. These mags work well. Now, the Shara mag and the Pro mag don't work very well, but the Con magazine and the...
That's right.
But when I put a Glock mag in my gun, that's going to say Glock. Now,
Yep.
this is what I recommend that you buy.
Yeah, they're expensive now. Even now, I mean, this mag retails for 40 or 50 bucks, but in a crime bill situation, ban situation, you talk about a $150 magazine.
Right, right.
And that's silly, but you know, supply and demand, people.
Well, we were going to do this with the top 5 guns, but there's a lot of guns you need to think about. Now, the 1022, the innocent-looking 1022, this is a major survival weapon here. You buy these BX-25 mags, buy as many of those as you can afford.
They're not cheap, people, but they're good magazines. A solid BX-25 is going to run you retail-wise anywhere from $22 to $27, depending on where you buy them. They are worth every penny. They work. Nice thing about a BX-25 is that you can disassemble them for cleaning, inspection. If you wear out parts, you can replace them, etc. You know, we are talking about guns that you need to have, and yes, ultimately, I think if they had their way, they would go after all forms of semi-automatics to include the Ruger 1022. In lots of anti-gun and ban-type legislation that's out there across the board, not only at a federal level, but even at a state level, some of the ban scenarios generally don't affect rimfire rifles.
No.
So if, let's say you have a Marlin tube gun that you can put 16 shorts in,
Right.
well, that's not considered. They're only looking at detachable magazines.
Right. The crime bill controls detachable magazines.
Right. So bear that in mind.
Right. Now,
Okay.
one important thing to note, this is called a Hot Lips mag from Butler Creek. These are plastic. Now, these mags are good, and these were the best that was on the market until the Ruger. This is actually a Ruger product with steel feed lips. This magazine will wear out quicker than this one, and you cannot clean this magazine. It's all glued together. So once this fills up with powder particles and it's not feeding anymore, you throw it away. Now, what they did, they've got this little thing here where you can hook them together. You glue them together and you have a double magazine here. The Rugers, you can't do that, but the Ruger you can take apart and clean. That's the
Nice thing about the
important part
Rugers is that they're solid enough where when you're doing mag changes or whatever, if you need to drop these around or toss them around, they're a lot more sturdy and solid of a magazine. They're made a lot better.
Right. They have the same steel feed lips as the 10-shot box.
The BX-25 is the only Ruger mag that I'll run. Now, a lot of people, and talking about the Ruger 1022, you guys, if you've watched enough of my videos, you know that we are, huge fans of the Ruger 1022. I think this is a great survival gun. It's also an ideal defensive gun. A lot of people down a 22 because it's such a small caliber, but in properly trained hands, and especially when you start adding something like a suppressor, a 1022 can have a lot of potential lethality if you know what you're doing with it.
Well, the thing about it is people associate, a 22 doesn't have much stopping power, but they're talking about when somebody's right on top of you and you got a 22 pistol, you can hold people at bay at 400 yards with this.
That's stretching it a bit, but we have proven that a 22 is deadly at that distance.
200 to 300 yards is nothing for this gun.
Absolutely.
Now we've got a Charger here. Now this is a little 1022 pistol that Ruger started marketing a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And when they first came out, we sold the heck out of them. It'll take the big magazine.
Sure.
Got the little bipod on the front.
It was meant more or less to be kind of a bench rest style gun,
Right.
for that crowd, but
Right.
I can see where the tactical applications would come into play. If you take something like the Archangel stock and SBR this,
Right.
then you got yourself a real slick little rig because you got the barrel barely goes out past the end of the stock.
Right.
You got a little M4 collapsible stock. Now that makes a lot of sense. You suppress that and you got you a nice little quiet, light, handy rig. So that's something to consider.
Now we were also considering, Ray was, this is Michelle's Sega. 12 gauge with a 20-shot drum. Now, the Sega box mags only hold 10, so they would still be under the crime bill unless they go after the specific gun itself.
Honestly, you know, and the thing is that I believe that in the big scheme of things, they're going to end up going after the Segas. So I foresee that, you know, they may not ban the Sega 12 or the Sega shotguns, but see, one of the things that concerns me is if we get into this UN arms treaty, depending on which way they want to run it or how they, you know, the language they want it in, it could end up being to where they just stop importing.
Right.
So basically what we're saying is some of these foreign guns, if you want them, might not be a bad idea to go ahead and stock up on them.
Right. But the thing you need to remember is your accessories. Things that are going to be banned like that.
That's right.
Now, the Sega, they go after it because it looks like a big AK-47. That's
Right.
why they go after this gun.
That's right.
But the communist block gun, this is the symbol. If you showed anybody a silhouette of that gun, they would tell you that's an AK-47.
That's right.
They would know that.
And they're automatically going to assume that it's the gun of the bad guy no matter what. So,
Right.
you know, that's our 5 guns. We got the AR-15, AK-47. We have the Glock, of course, with your
Big mag.
high-capacity magazines. We have the Ruger 1022, again, with your high-capacity magazines, BX-25s. And then we have the Sega 12 semi-automatic shotgun. That's our 5 picks if you had to buy only 5 guns to basically round yourself out for a band. Those would be our 5 choices.
We're going to do a video in the future called Marksman versus Gunshot Commando, maybe. If we had a nation of Alvin Yorks, you wouldn't have to have any of this stuff. You take a man like Alvin York, he what they used to call cut meat every time you pull the trigger, he don't have to have a lot of shots. Alvin York captured how many Germans? Over 200 Germans with a 5-shot bolt action. It's the man, it's not the gun. But they're going after this kind of a thing because that's what the public understands. We've got to get this out of the hands of civilians. And I'm telling you right now, I'll make a prediction. The slide fire stocks that are legal right now, after the crime bill, they're going to make you get a $200 stamp for a slide fire because it simulates a full automatic.
That's right.
That's coming. You can bet on it. Let's say they don't pass the crime bill, so what? You still get your money out of it.
You still got something you can use.
You're not going
regardless.
to lose anything.
So the point of this video, if you don't have the guns, fine. If you have very little money to invest, buy up some mags. Buy up some AR receivers. Even if you can't afford to build an AR, who cares?
You got the receiver.
Buy a receiver every 2 weeks, and you got at least something you can barter with in a crime bill type of situation.
Right.
You got something you can make some money on.
Right.
So keep that in mind. And that's what the point of this video is. These are our picks. Any combination of these things you can afford to do, keep it within your budget, and you can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong with it, folks.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, and y'all have a good evening.